The last time the Saints and Vikings met in the postseason was the 2009 NFC Championship in New Orleans. It was a back-and-forth game that the Saints won in overtime to get past Brett Favre's Vikings and advance to Super Bowl 44. Let's go to Boomer's Vault to look back at that memorable matchup.
You think they were ready? An evening in New Orleans? Here we go from the Superdome. Breeze. Here come the Vikes, but a beautifully set up screen pass. Pierre Thomas, sacré bleu. It's a touchdown, 38 yards. Later in the drive, Favre nailed and picked off by Vilma. Jonathan Vilma with the pick, and Favre in serious pain, taken low by McCrary and Adele.
Yeah, and as you watch that hit right there, they have a rule for hitting the quarterback low. You wonder why it wasn't called right there.
And you know what? At this point when you watch, could he even come back? Minute 39 to go. Vikings, 1st and 10. Brett Favre, how many times have you seen him do it?
Wow.
Oh, man! Sidney Rice, 20 yards across midfield. Vikings, in action. Chester Taylor, 14-yard run to the 33. It would be at this point a 50-yard attempt by Longwell. 19 seconds ago. 3rd and 10. Wait a minute. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 12 men in the huddle. You gotta be kidding. It's a 5-yard penalty. Pushes him back to the 38, which is probably out of field goal range, which forces a pass, which is intercepted. All that happened because maybe too many men on the ice, if you will. Tracy Porter picked at the end of regulation. We go to overtime. In field goal range for all he's done is kick extra points. Garrett Hartley doesn't kick off. John Carney kicked most of the season. Garrett Hartley, 40 yards to put the Saints in the Super Bowl. Good from 60. It's good. Who dat? Who dat? Who dat say they go into the Super Bowl for the first time?
Y'all were dialed in for that, like you were watching it for the first time again.
That was epic.
Man, I heard Tom Jackson's voice in there. It made me tune in. That's boom. I love both of those guys together.
Yes, well, I'm glad you said that. You didn't know that was a transition for me, but thank you. Next week after the game, guys, we're bringing the good stuff back.
There they go.
Prime time, back at it after the late games. Chris Berman, Tom Jackson, and Keyshawn Johnson there to give you all the highlights and the scoop after the late game.
Going in the archive.
Championship weekend. That's going to be good, so make sure you tune in for that. Back to the NFC matchup. Saints receiver Michael Thomas had an early signature playoff moment last week. His 46-yard reception with just under 7 minutes remaining set the Saints up at the 5-yard line, and they scored a touchdown 2 plays later. Thomas finished with 131 yards, and the second-year wideout has his playoff success in his background. He sat down with his uncle and our Keyshawn Johnson.
What's up, man? Look at you. Gritting it. What's up, man?
So now the roles reversed. Now I get to ask you about being the star receiver in the NFL and what it's like to be, I guess, the poster boy of the offense.
You definitely set the foundation. You showed me what this game brings you, the things, the places it could take you, the relationships you could build, the doors it could open outside, stuff like that, and I was paying attention.
Allen Iverson was your favorite sports hero growing up as an athlete, not me. Like, I'm thinking, okay, I'm his uncle. He gotta say me, but you say Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson, I just liked him, how he competed. He wasn't the biggest. He may have not had all the attention, but he was gonna make sure at the end of that game he knew his name. And then he kind of played with a chip on his shoulder. You know, he played kind of greedy, and I like that about him.
I remember you used to call me and asking me stuff about playing. I'm like, man, go find it on YouTube. Is there any moments that stick out to you about having an opportunity to maybe find things around the house or whatnot?
My grandmother, she used to record, like back in the day, when she would have these tapes. It would have like 3 games on it. And I remember just watching you play.
Back to throw, fires on the slant. Touchdown, Tampa Bay, Keyshawn Johnson.
And I probably didn't know exactly what was going on, but I was watching, see when you get the ball. I remember when you scored your first touchdown, you slammed your helmet. I remember all that. A lot of people, you know, they don't have an uncle like you to show them that example. So I feel like that was a key part to my success, because I was able to see you play the game. I would see you play at the highest level. I was able to see you win the Super Bowl.
Breeze in the shotgun. And looking for Thomas, who dives at the 2 and falls on it at the 1.
That was a crazy good catch by Mike Thomas.
Oh, yeah.
He's something else.
That's why they get paid big bucks.
He don't get paid big bucks yet. He's a second-year guy.
Coach Payton, are there any similarities direct? You know, you had me that Mike and myself remind you of something.
Absolutely.
Sluggo seam, whatever.
Well, it starts with traffic, yards after the catch, slant route runner, basics. There's some receivers you want to stay away from the lions and tigers inside, like Bill used to say.
Yes.
There's some receivers you want to keep outside with the gazelles. But then it's important to have those receivers that can get inside and make the tough catch around the noise.
Back shoulder throw, and Michael Thomas makes a great catch.
Not only did you play the same position, but the same spot on the field in the position at X. And the same type catches and the same type contested throws. And his catch radius is
yeah, I know. It's
just like yours. There's so many similarities that way.
Is he as big a pain to you as I was?
Differently. He just expects so much of himself. And I think I remember there's a savviness to you because I had you later in your career. And so your issues were different than his issues, all right? And yet, I'll take both of them.
Do you see any similarities at all?
I like to talk when I'm out there. I like to.
But what makes you think I used to talk?
I mean, I watched it. I mean, you could turn on YouTube, you could hear I could do my research and hear how I used to talk to people.
Hey, P-Dub, this ain't Florida State against Maryland now, dog.
And then also, people tell me too, ex-vets, they tell me like, man, your uncle, man, he's crazy. He told me this one time, he told me this, and they remember.
Shut your up. All that screaming. Fake John Randall.
Do you realize how lucky you are to have Drew Brees as your quarterback opposed to when I played? I went through like, I don't know, man, 14. My best 2 guys was Vinny Testaverde and Brad Johnson. But you got Drew Brees.
Yeah, every day. That's why I take a lot of pride in my position, my job, my assignment, being in the right place at the right time, because I know that guy is going to be at the right place at the right time. He's going to be the same guy. He's going to be that Hall of Fame quarterback, Drew Brees. He's going to be consistent. He's going to be accountable. He knows what he wants.
Caught by Thomas, and he's into the end zone, touchdown.
You now forced me to become the second best wide receiver in the family. 196 receptions in your first 2 years, being the top out of any receiver in NFL history. What does that do to you, Mikey?
It's a blessing. It shows, all the extra stuff I did on the side, the stuff I did when no one was looking, discipline, and keep going, eliminate the distractions, keep pushing through, and then your name rises to the top. And I feel like I take a lot of pride in that.
What do you think my mom is saying today as she watch you?
Stay focused, whatever I'm doing, keep doing. But she's saying keep going, take it to the top, because she saw you go to the top, and I feel like she's watching down right now, and she wants to see me take it to the top, too.
I love that he called him Mikey. Only family can get away with that for a grown man. Randy, when you look at Michael Thomas in this game against the Vikings today, where do you see him having an impact?
It has to be the red zone, using his height and of course, definitely on third down. But, one thing really stood out to me listening to that piece, just hearing from Sean Payton. I guess I was considered a gazelle coach because I did stay on that outside. But just looking at Michael's build, we kind of have a little, some similarities as far as our height and our size. So to see him go across that middle, make those catches, runs after the catch, he is a complete wide receiver. Yeah, you're talking about him just being year 2, but when you see a guy with that much upside, young guy, there's only good things can happen. One thing that Drew Brees has always had, he's always had a #1 wide receiver. Early in this young man's career, he's already shown he's at the top of his game and already at the top of the league as a wide receiver.
Yeah, the only thing I got to add with that is get him the dang football. Because this kid is phenomenal. And you know what? He doesn't have the fanfare necessarily and all that. Not yet, anyway. But I think he becomes a household name.
Let's talk about what he's up against today, though, in that Vikings defense. I mean, they've certainly proven themselves over the last couple of years. What's your expectation for them on the back end today?
Well, Sam, I'm glad you brought that up because I think Mike Zimmer is as good as it gets coaching defense right here. He's a complete coach, and when you're seeing it, you're going to see how complex and how multiple this defense is. The key, I think, is Harrison Smith. You can line him up down at the line of scrimmage. He's playing man coverage here. Now he undercuts it. He's got safety help on top. Now he floats back over. He's over here in a linebacker position. He's going to be underneath in zone coverage. He's able to use his eyes, and he makes plays. But this is what Zimmer does. He puts his guys all over the place. Watch here. This is what he's known for, these double-A gap pressures. He comes here, but he's got an entire package. One of the linebackers is going. Whoever the back picks up, that linebacker goes, the other one drops. Harrison Smith comes off the edge. Now you're going to see a different look out of an odd look. They're pressing up at the line of scrimmage. Both guys drop. Right now the quarterback doesn't see it. He's got a clock in his head already. He's been hit a few times. Now he drops back. That's what I'm talking about, simulated pressure, different ways of doing it. Mike Zimmer has them all. He's got all the pitches. He's got the fastball, which might be his coverage. He's got a curveball, which might be an all-out blitz. And he's got simulated pressure, which is changeup. He's the most complete coordinator in the business with Bill Belichick. That's what's out there. Some of these new school guys, they run one or two things. They get good at it. This guy's got it all. And that's what I love about Mike Zimmer.
Well said, Rex. And, Mike Zimmer, it's not just what he brings, it's what he doesn't bring. And he lines up and it looks exactly the same. So a strength of this New Orleans Saints team is what? Drew Brees. Drew Brees, 39 years old. He's seen it all. He's been great at, understanding what defenses have been doing his entire career. I think it almost works against you when you go up against Mike Zimmer because he knows what you know, and he uses it to his advantage. And the versatility on this defense, Everson Griffin, he does it all. He absolutely does it all. Harrison Smith is kind of the X factor for him, though. He can cover these running backs out of the backfield that we're worried about. He can jam big wide receivers in the slot if we need him to. And he's a physical enough player to play linebacker in the running game as well. So these disguises, you see it all the time. The quarterback does like a double cadence to get a look, kind of a preview, a snapshot of what the coverage is going to be. It doesn't really help you against this Minnesota Vikings defense. It's really, really challenge. It's a big challenge.
Insiders, I know you guys want to jump in on this Vikings defense. I mean, you're hurting either way because they've got guys in the secondary and big guys up front like Matt was just talking about that can hurt you.
Yeah, look, as multiple as they can be on defense, the fact of the matter is they have a defensive front that this week is really going to be the key to this football game. They're going to try and execute the same game plan that the Carolina Panthers did, meaning shut down the run game and then put it in Drew Brees' hand. Because why? Because they have Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter, and they have the home crowd, which is going to be insane in an environment like this. So I think that's where the game is going to be decided. It's going to be in Everson Griffin and Danielle Hunter's hands, Brian Robison's hands. It's going to be about the Jimmies and the Joes, as people like to say, not so much the X's and the O's, in my opinion.
And I love the fact you mentioned the home crowd. Sean Payton, the Saints coach, is aware of it. They played the Monday night opener there. That crowd was crazy then. It's kind of like, what's the difference between -5 degrees and -10 degrees? Difference between 102 decibel noise, crowd noise, 110. They're used to it. They're ready to practice in this thing. They know that stadium inside and out. It's just a matter of managing the game within the frame of it. And oh, by the way, on officials, they had big penalties in that game. Another detail they are not leaving uncovered, Sam.